Hello, Podland.
Hello. Welcome to the pod from the Liguanea Club in Kingston, Jamaica.
Kingston, Jamaica.
Which is an old members club from pre-colonial. No, not pre-colonial. Pre-colonial and post-colonial. Post-colonial
Stone Age members club.
And it is slightly run down and falling down and a bit ill-run, but still it is magnificent.
It's great.
Bit of the old.
I wish we had this in London.
Well, we do. This is Chelsea Arts Club, isn't it?
It kind of
but
is.
But unfortunately, have you been to Chelsea Arts Club recently?
Have they vamped it up?
They've vamped it up. Yeah, they've rebranded it, and
wouldn't let it lie.
Yeah, they wouldn't. The one bit of charm that it had, they had to totally. It's like a sort of a charmestomy. Is that the word?
Yeah,
Where they go with a great big surgical knife
cord
and just take it out.
Yeah.
It's very disappointing. Anyway, we're here in Jamaica, and it's lovely to have you back. I haven't seen Paul for a bit. It's really good to see him.
We've got a hot breeze.
Yeah. We went out last night, actually, on the town.
Well, not
really, actually, because Paul was very tired after the flight. And we were taken by my mate to a birthday party of gay guys, which is obviously not even worth mentioning if it was in Britain, but it is such an extraordinary, for me, I've been here 30 years, and I've never seen an out gay male in Jamaica, never.
There's not out. When you mean out, by out you mean out on the town or out in any other way?
Well, just like declaring his sexuality to me.
As is the norm.
And not hiding it, as is the norm. Yeah. I'm not hiding it. Yeah. And I'd never seen that. So there were like 15 or 20 of them. And I've just never seen that. And they were very affectionate to each other, weren't they?
Yeah, very supportive.
It wasn't kind of thump. No, it was.
There was no music on, actually.
Yeah, it was very quiet music. It was all very. And they were like strokey and touchy because, of course, they're not allowed to touch each other. It wasn't like they were fondling each other and going at each other. They were just like resting a hand on each other's arms and things like that.
It reminded me of the theatre in England.
How do you mean?
It's a bit like if you go to a theatre party in England. That's what it was like. Not like sort of a gay bar or a gay club or even.
No, it wasn't at all. It was
more like a theatre party where everyone was a little bit lovey and a little bit touchy. And he gave a little speech. It was his 40th birthday, and he was talking about the support he had from his friends. By the way, they were all men. There was only one girl there, and that was the girl who brought us. And he was saying, without the support of my friends, he said, I decided this year I'm not going to hang around people anymore who don't understand me.
Yeah.
And the little
code
went through the room. Oh, great.
Anyway, they were overjoyed to see me and Paul particularly.
It's our 10 o'clock beer.
Oh, yes, it's coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we just got a cold beer coming now.
What's your name, sir?
Cardell.
Cardell is serving us.
Thank you very much indeed. A cold red stripe. Is it, mate? God, for an awful moment I thought you were leaving with the tray Cardell.
Just the one. We could fight over it. Thank you.
Well, bloody hell.
No, it's all right. We can manage that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. No, actually, Cardell, can you pour my beer, please?
No, don't do that.
Because he does it better than me.
Does he?
Yeah. And it's part of the service.
Right.
You think, what's it? That's the thing about the Liguanea Club. That's
rich.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, here we go.
Typically, Paul's is very
see, I've gone off. Mine's gone too frothy. Cardell's is perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, look at that. See, that is expert.
All the way up.
Anyway, at this party,
mine's got a 3-inch head. I'll practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll have to do a few more. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. You've done that.
Look at that.
Anyway, so Paul's 3-inch head.
Thank you.
So that was very much on the agenda last night at the party. I can tell you, they were on Paul like mice on rice. But they were. Thank you very much.
Different colours.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How can they be different colour?
I don't know. That's quite odd, isn't it?
Yeah, that don't make sense.
Quality control.
We sort of do red stripes, and they are wildly different colour.
They are wildly different colours. Yeah. Mine's golden, and yours is more like yours is like a hangover wee, isn't it?
Taste it again. Anyway, so we went to this place, and they were all over. Me and Paul. They were all over Paul particularly. But I felt a few hands coming round my waist.
No, they loved us both.
Yeah, because of course, as we weren't used to seeing them, they weren't used to seeing me.
He actually said in the speech, 2 white men. We both stood there, and he said, "Come over here," and he kind of introduced us to the gathering
because they were not used to seeing.
No.
people being normal to them.
But also, they didn't know that we weren't gay, and we were two men together.
Yeah, and yeah.
And everybody else thinks that we are, so why wouldn't they?
Yeah, you would have thought they probably did jump to that conclusion. But except that if they were very cheeky, because one of them was propositioning you right under my nose.
He was basically saying, you need to lie down.
And I thought if you did think we were a couple, it's a little bit odd behaviour. Maybe it's not, I don't know.
No, it's not, no. It's not that.
Anyway, he tried to get Paul to lie down.
On his bed.
Because Paul was very tired. And I said to the guy, look, if Paul goes to sleep now, you might have him here on Wednesday morning, in 3 days' time. That's how he rolls. He'll sleep for a very long time and he won't move. And he said, oh, lovely.
That's fine by me. And his name
was, there was one there called Gayton. And as he was introduced to me, I know it's pathetic, but I just thought I've got to hold it together. I've just got to go in this highly charged atmosphere of sexual openness suddenly, and that the one word we weren't saying was gay, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we were saying normal. We were saying we're normal fucking people. We're not going to refer to this.
It was. That's
and then
right.
he said, "My name's Gabe."
Guy was biting his lip. Terrible man.
I tried to catch Paul's eye, but Paul was.
No, I was like that. I was staring stonily forward.
Anyway, they were all lovely people.
That was great.
They were all lovely people.
And of course, we were taken there by the beautiful Tamo, who it was described as a goddess by one of the chaps there, and I have to agree. She's very, very beautiful, and she's quite tiny and perfectly
and she's
proportioned.
called Love You too. Isn't that amazing? Tamo. Tame, as in je t'aime.
Oh, je t'aime,
yeah, Tamo.
Yeah.
No, she's called.
She's amazing.
Called Love You. She's I know we can't talk about that.
Why not?
We can talk about. She described the racial or national characteristics, national, not racial, characteristics of her boyfriend, and which were a heady mix.
They weren't they? Of Cherokee.
Nigerian. Hawaiian, was it?
Hawaiian. He was a Hawaiian Cherokee Nigerian, or a Cherokee.
Was there one? Wasn't there a fourth in there?
Maybe.
No, maybe it was just the third. But those three,
Irish.
They are the mind real.
And she said he's very beautiful. I said, well, yeah. He must
Not
be.
altogether surprising. And there is Cherokee Nigerian, but that says a lot about his physical characteristic or something. But God knows what your character is. Cherokee Nigerian.
She said he was very mellow and chill.
Yeah.
Her words exactly. He's very mellow and chill.
Very hard to believe that.
I was kind of thinking.
Sort of
I almost said so far.
Yeah, exactly. This is a Nigerian. Anyway,
I once went to see a psychiatrist, and he was basically
only once
racist with me in a way, by the strictest definition, because he asked me about my parents and where I was born and where they were from and what their backgrounds were. And when I said that on my dad's side they were English, but we had gypsies in the family. And on the Irish side, they were Bog Irish Fenians who were borderline IRA. He sort of put his pen down and said, he said, what, and you're depressed? And I said, well, I am a bit, yeah. And he said, when you've got anxiety and you've got perhaps anger management problems. I said, well, I feel that, yes. He said, well, I have to say it's not at all surprising given your background. I think you're doing rather well. So he was basically saying that I was genetically predisposed.
He basically said, we can't do anything with you.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah. It's a design fault. There's no software to fix
you
this.
out, yeah. That's like, when you breed the wrong dogs together.
You should have said this when you were making the appointment. We wouldn't have taken this.
We wouldn't have taken it in. There's no point.
Yeah.
It's like when you breed certain,
Anyway, so Paul's here for a couple of weeks, going to do a few things in Jamaica. I'm finishing a book. Paul's going to be getting us on turn and doing some work. And also, how are you with cockfighting?
Well, man is a mad animal, and the world is full of pain and misery. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't go and see a dog fight in London.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't. Would you?
No, I don't think I would.
Where one dog tears another's jaw off.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
No, I wouldn't do that because I was hoping you'd be very against it.
Cage fighting.
I'm buying a cock and
I'm following a line here. Cage fighting, where two men get in a cage, I would be fine with that because it's their choice.
Yeah.
Is that where two men they gaffer tape their cocks together and then they beat the shit out of each other? Is that
so I'm going to become the foul fighting king of West Jamaica.
How are you
me and Vinton, we've got a trainer, we're going to buy a fowl. and I'm spending,
bantam.
it's like a little cock, small bantam, and then we're training it, and the way it works is that then I decide how much it costs to fight my bird, and you say it's 60,000 Jamaican dollars, which is about 300 quid.
Yeah. To fight your bird?
Yeah, to fight my bird. And they put 300 down, I put 300 down, and whichever bird wins takes the money, yeah. And there are side bets going on.
What if they both get killed?
They don't. Well, I mean, I don't know, Paul. It's a draw. I guess you take your money back.
Take your
money back. But I have no idea.
How much is the bird?
Well, that's it. We're going big on the bird. Bird's costing me about 400 quid.
What?
But we're going to be going up and choosing it. But this thing is going to make me money for a very long time.
Do you think it is?
Yeah. If I said that to Vince, he said, or it get dead in the first fight.
Or it get dead.
So I said, no.
When are you going to do this?
Well, we're doing it next week. We're going up there to choose the fowl.
Wow, well, I guess...
I was hoping you'd be really disapproving.
No, I'm going to suspend judgment until I've seen it, you know. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't see a fight because for some mad reason there's a season. Fighting season, you know, and we're off season.
It's off season.
But this is the time to buy the bird, and I'm going to put it into training. Yeah.
Who's training it?
I'm a top trainer, which Vinton knows.
Vinton sourced the trainer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're going to go and talk to the trainer, and then they train it, and then I come back and we have a couple of fights.
I don't like bullfighting.
Morning, Chief.
Hello.
Good morning.
I left it up.
Oh. I left the what?
Oh, you're doing it?
No, it's okay.
No, come on, it's fine. It's fine.
Paused.
It's okay.
What do we do?
So this is your order.
Yeah.
It starts with the coffee and the amount.
Yeah.
So we went over the amount, and then you signed here.
Yes.
The room number, and then this is the
Excellent.
Right?
So I have to give you $127.
Yeah. And then you want to pay for the bill.
Yeah.
Can we do it all at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, we'll do it all at the end.
Yes. So
anyway, so
I don't like bullfighting because they nobble the bulls.
To be honest, I've never actually seen a bullfight.
And they pick stupid bulls.
I've never seen a bullfight, and I think, Paul, I think if some Spanish people said let's go and do it, and it was all felt like it wasn't just a kind of weird tourist thing, I think I'd probably go along to it if there were a genuine enthusiast.
I would want to see one.
But I don't know. The world's, what have we got? We'll be banning all fun.
I think what people want to ban is fun which involves torturing animals.
Well, once you've decided to eat it, Paul, I think that the whole discussion is slightly closed on the rights of animals.
Yeah, they want to ban that as well. They want to ban it all.
But once you're going to eat the thing, to then kind of get
that's
all
a bit
kind
like
of
saying, but once I've stabbed him in the leg, I might as well have just cut his.
No, once I'm going to kill him.
That's not.
That's
someone's going to
I
kill
can't
me.
really start thinking about his
I'd rather they did
rights.
it quickly than tortured me to death.
Yeah.
I'd rather not fight you to the death, guy. I'd rather the small caliber.
It wouldn't
pistol.
take long, I'm sure. But I will say this, that the fate of the battery chicken, I think, is much worse than the fate of the bull. That's really.
What about the fate of the battery chicken versus the fate of the bantam fighting bantam?
Well, the fighting bantams. One of the things that I noticed about it, I thought it was going to be very cruel and nasty sport because I was always brought up to think that, and that's why it's been banned in Britain.
Yeah.
And I thought what I was basically going to watch was one chicken chasing another absolutely terrified chicken around a little pit and then beating the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But it was not so. They were both well into it, and they went at each other. And it wasn't like one was bullying the other. They gave a good account of themselves.
They kicked the shit out
and then one suddenly just killed the other like that, and then stood on it. It was great.
Really?
And it felt like an equal battle. It wasn't like
one killed the other and stood on it.
Yeah, I know. And what was great was that I was sitting with their 9-year-old children, loads of kids around me, and they were all doing kind of Candy Crush, and they just put down their tablets and watched the fight, and then picked up their tablets again with their dads and mums.
Marginally over the Candy Crush, then seeing the.
Oh yeah.
The slaughter.
Yes, that's true actually. That's true. They did put it down. I was wondering if they were going to put it. But yeah, they did put it down.
So that's more powerful still.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's quite, and it's quite a good sport for our era because it's intense and short. They only last for about, the ones I saw only saw 2 because the rain came down, or a drop, and then we all had to kind of, I said I can't do it, it's too wet. But they only lasted about 3 or 4 minutes,
Wow.
5 minutes, yeah. And then there's a decisive end, and I thought, this is perfect. Cut to commercials.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sort of televisable sport. We can really...
And where are you on killing things personally? Birds, for instance, shooting birds.
Well,
going to a shoot and blamming the blat out of them all.
Well, I'm going a little bit off it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why?
I guess I'm getting older.
The slaughter.
And I don't have that kind of oomph in me anymore where I want to, like, get my barrels hot. You know, you know what I mean?
Barrels hot.
You know what I mean? I kind of be a man.
We've been invited to a shoot.
Yes, I did know that. Yeah, I can't make it, unfortunately.
No?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because on that day, I think I'm walking with Hussein.
Are you?
And I've told our host.
Oh yeah, you've got to do that. Yeah,
straight away. And so that's annoying, but there we are.
Yeah, I don't think we'll shoot many birds that day.
No, why not?
Because we'll be too busy drinking, Guy,
Right, okay.
given the company.
God, alcohol and firearms.
That's great, isn't it? It's a great mix. Damn. I don't mind shooting birds because, and I'll tell you why, and it's probably not going to go down very well with some people, but I'd prefer to eat game over any other animal because it's been outside and it's been, even if it's kind of reared outside deliberately for the shoot, at least it gets a fighting chance. And if it was me, that's what I'd want.
Yeah.
And they're gone quick and they don't have to go into that dreadful place and be executed.
Yeah.
So I'm up for it, mate. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's very good for the countryside. That's one of the things that I'm concerned about, yeah. That the raising of large numbers of pheasants in a small wood is terrible for the ecosystem of the wood. I mean, basically nothing else can exist around it. Really very little. So that's in the balance with me.
Right.
And when you go shooting, if you look at the woods, they're basically kind of scrubbed up, kind of, they're sort of chicken pens with some trees in them, basically, with the pheasants all inside.
Yeah.
Depending on how intense it is, but the really big shoots, I mean, it's and of course they can't have any predators around, so all of them have to be killed.
They're exterminated.
Yeah, have to be killed. So it's a bit of a monoculture.
Probably quite good for the hedgehogs, though. They probably like it.
No, I'm sure not, but I can't comment on that. But I'd be very surprised because there's loads of dogs around.
Right, of course.
So,
So the cockfight.
Yeah, well, we're not going to go to a fight. We're going to go to a trainer, and we will discuss. And
what
terms.
about the name?
I want to call it Jet Li because my friend Byron died a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks now, in my village in Jamaica. A very important man, the kingpin of the village. He died, and he was a fisherman, and he had his boat called Jet Li. So I thought I would honour Byron's. I wanted to call it Byron Rooster actually, but I thought that might be a bit weird.
Yeah.
So
Jet Li's kind of high risk.
Yeah. Why?
What if it gets killed in the first 5 seconds?
Oh right, God. Yes, I didn't think of that. I don't know what to call it then. Anyway, so one of the things about this club is that the opening scene from Dr. No was shot almost when Paul and I are sitting. And there was something very picking Paul up at the airport, which is how Dr. No starts. No. After the opening scene, they then pick James up at Kingston Airport, and I picked Paul up last night from the airport, and there was a real whiff of, the commanders come in. I gave him a debrief in the car. And I think actually in the film you then check into your room and you're immediately an attempt is made on your life. And then you shag someone and she dies.
Oh right, the usual then.
Well, hold on. Yes, the usual for the script.
Sure, right.
Anyway, so it is kind of Bondian because it's early Bondian, not late Bondian.
No, it's definitely
it's early Bondian.
It's that funny 1950s, early 60s.
Yes.
It's what people thought was sophisticated.
Yes, it was sophisticated, Paul. I think, wasn't it?
I guess it was.
What was 60s? What was sophisticated in 1960? Going around the Duke of Devonshire and seeing a Henry Moore.
Yeah, rayon. Crimpline. Trevera.
But were the rich folks wearing those?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was like that was high fashion, and then you had also lots of. They liked to pipe things, didn't they? Mm-hmm. They liked to pipe.
You mean on the edge of upholstery and things like that?
Yeah. No, but I also mean in food. They did. Chintz was very in, but they also liked to pipe mashed potato.
Right, on a kind of fluted, not a fluted. Yeah. It's like a fluted thing because it's got.
Yeah, it was on the edge of everything, so you'd get a terrine that had mashed potato piped all over it like cream.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
And the
chicken Kiev.
Eggs, curried eggs.
Curried eggs. Coronation chicken, but that must have actually been way older. It must have been 20. So it must have been way older, 20. So.
Yeah, very odd.
So anyway, so we're and the club is slightly falling apart. But you know, there's loads of people here. I can't personally. It's a Saturday morning here again. We're seeing some families form up.
God, it's Saturday morning.
And the kids and the dads are playing tennis, and I can hear a squash court. A squash court.
Yeah.
You know, who's playing squash? Does anyone play squash in this heat as well?
I know.
And the ladies are sitting down for lunch, and it's like a kind of country country club thing, which the Americans love. It fucking sticks in my throat, that kind of thing.
Does it?
Yeah,
This is nice. You're whispering guy, by the way. You've got to speak up.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, only because I'm being very rude. People at the next table are going to hear me about that club. Because
it's a little bit.
It's about membership. It's about exclusivity. It's about exclusivity,
It's bourgeois. That's what you're talking about.
Well, I don't care what class they are. They're really trying to exclude people. And get,
Is that what you think it is?
Yeah, there's a little, and as of course, all over Kingston, there's a barrier.
There must
be more car barriers. We've been through so many electronic gates and car barriers, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the last 24 hours,
Everything's gated.
Everything is gated, and yet the funny thing is they've got these. Everyone lives in gated communities, and yet we saw absolutely no sign of any threat or any. You know, there were no kind of like clearly rather dodgy people walking around the way there are in Western Jamaica. Girls in swimsuits.
You see those big girls in swimsuits?
Oh yeah. When we went through, we went through a little community.
And their guy.
Perfectly reasonable, wearing a lingerie
and their chap was standing on the corner with them.
Oh, did you think that was professional?
It seemed to me. They were not going anywhere.
Yeah. You have the eye for it, do you?
You could hardly miss them. They were quite a busy intersection.
I saw them. I just thought they were out having a drink, having a party.
Yeah, just having a drink there at the side of the road with their swimsuits on.
No, it's perfect. As you well know, up in Western Jamaica, it's completely usual to see women in lingerie.
Honestly, it looked odd.
Right. Okay.
It just definitely looked like they were. It was a bit of a market storm.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, where we're going for lunch, I want to know about that now.
Oh yeah, so we're going to lunch at a place quite derided by the Jamaicans, I've noticed, because it's not kind of milady service. And I mean, you sit down for breakfast at this place, it's so great and so typical, and there's like 4 knives and forks, 3 glasses, a napkin, crockery and cutlery, completely
off the scale, the fish knife.
Exactly. And you ask for a cup of coffee, and then the guy, he says, "Are you going to eat?" And you go, "No." And then the guy laboriously, painstakingly removes all the cutlery and everything, from in front of you. I said, "Just leave it. It's fine. Let's have a cup of coffee." No, because they've all been trained in a kind of somehow the bloke in charge of their catering college basically last went to a restaurant in about 1958 because it's so crap formal. Anyway, there was this little place up in the hill.
Black coffee out, and they did that thing where you wiggle it to make a little tree on it, and it was black coffee. And he'd obviously seen someone doing it, so he did that, and I thought...
Yeah, because they're doing things... They are doing something here which they never do themselves.
No.
They would never sit down, they never have a cup of coffee, they never drink coffee. So they're like, it's like me asking you to go into a Jamaican house and cook food. You know, you wouldn't
know some saltfish and
exactly. And the way that they eat it, you wouldn't know how to do it.
No, exactly.
Anyway, so this restaurant is run by a French woman, and it's up in the hills just above Kingston, and it offers. It's like a bit like a ramshackle cafe. It looks a bit like a seaside cafe. It's all a bit kind of. It's not run down, but it's all a bit put together organically. Right. And of course that totally offends all the Jamaicans because they want it to be, like with pillars out front, 3 steps and 2 blokes in uniform shit, or it's a shit restaurant. And you go with the first time I went in there, I thought, this is an extremely pretty place, very relaxed. And then I heard some French being spoken from the direction of the kitchen, and my hopes immediately leapt. And I thought, oh my God, am I going to get some decent food? And it just came little plates of beef, little plates of this, that, some vegetables, really nice European food, not American, really nice. Oh, yeah. And then I looked at the wine, there was a red Burgundy on the goddamn wine list.
Really?
Yeah. And I realised that it was a really, really nice restaurant. But as I say, the fact that you're kind of...
What's it called?
It's called EATS, E-I-T-S. And I have discovered that it stands for English in the Summer. Do not ask me why. It's in Irish Town, which is higher up. We're going to go up about 1,000 feet, so it's obviously cooler there. But how it got that bonkers name
in the summer?
Yeah, that's.
Has it been there a long time?
I think in this form, I think it's been there about 6 years because I went there about 4 or 5 years ago. I hope it's not been spoiled. But the other thing is that the people in the restaurant, cool people.
They're cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
because they're the only 14 people on the island who realise what's going on. And who've actually travelled
to get there,
travelled and got really good taste. Yeah, it's really good.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's not a disappointment. Often when one
build things up too much.
Yeah. So here on the left of this table, Paul and I, are the new colonisers.
They're Japanese. They're not Chinese.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's Japanese.
How do you know? Oh, yeah, right. No, they're not.
Can you not tell the difference?
No, well, clearly not.
I'm in language. I'm not even looking at them.
Okay, what are they saying then?
It's when it goes like that. They do lots of that.
Okay, well, do you mean Chinese then?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. What if we've got a Chinese listener? They'll be really offended. It's like someone doing a bad Irish accent.
Could be really moved. Could be. They'd sure be funny. Okay, well, don't.
I won't go to.
That is just a Dick Emery kind of tabloid.
Whereas Japanese is more like that, isn't it?
Okay.
Oh no, actually, that's Chinese. But what am I doing then?
You've confused yourself. Anyway, I'm not going to go and ask them. But
what to do things like that?
What do they look like to you?
Guy, what is this?
Because I was going to make a point about colonisation and how we built this, and that table would have been taken up with English people 40, 50, 60 years ago.
Why are you whispering?
Because I don't want to be thrown out.
Stop whispering.
Right, okay. You're right. You think they don't understand the lingo?
No, I just don't think they care.
Right, okay. Anyway, they are now the Chinese are the power in this city.
Well, that's a statement of fact.
Yeah, absolutely. But I very rarely see them at leisure or at play, the Chinese. But I've just been told they're Japanese, so this is a kind of non-point I'm making.
Exactly.
I've continued not.
Where
to
are
see
you
them.
going with this? So yes,
I went to candlelight the other day, which is where they light candles when someone's died, and it was not very well attended. It was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking. Lovely man. He died. He had diabetes. His whole family. He'd watched all his children die, and he died.
His biggest family.
Yeah, absolutely biggest father, Miles Manzi.
Right.
Anyhow, he died, and I said to Vince. He said, "Vince, what was it like?" And I said, "It wasn't very busy." He said, "Yeah, plenty people now go."
Plenty people now go.
Yeah. It means that no one turned up.
Funerals, we're going to be going to more of them soon. Now we're playing funerals now.
God.
The death toll is going to increase. Ask not who it tolls for.
Aren't we living longer?
Well, I am.
Yeah.
I'm living longer than I thought I would. I thought I'd be dead by 30, didn't you?
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't want to stay alive at 25. I remember thinking about the year 2000, thinking it was so far away, and I definitely wouldn't be alive by then.
Definitely remember thinking that, yeah.
And I would definitely not be alive.
I think I was 42 on the year 2000, yeah. I definitely thought that would be a codger.
I'd be dead. I was like, no way, I'm not going to make it to the year 2000.
Yeah.
It's pointless. But look at me now.
Yeah, absolutely. Bright as a button, sharp.
Strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Still very much at the wicket.
Very much at the crease.
At the crease, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Very much at the crease.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking on any bowling at all.
I will be doing my century not out, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
No, I won't. I reckon there's a thing online, Guy, where you can put your birthday in and your proclivities and your habits, some of them anyway, and it gives you it gives you a date, and then it gives you a countdown to your death. And you can have it on your computer desk. It's called the death clock.
That's the sort of thing I find absolutely,
and it's one of the
pathetic, reprehensible.
It's one of the few occasions where the word clock is not interchangeable with cock.
Cock, yeah. But Paul thinks every time you say clock, you actually mean cock.
No, I don't. I mean when it's in popular music.
Oh right, okay. Or it was in another one, wasn't it?
Rock Around the Clock.
No, it wasn't popular music. Was it a poem?
Huh?
Wasn't at that party last night, was it?
No, it wasn't.
This guy came out and asked Paul's personal sexual proclivities.
It did not.
He did.
It didn't.
He did.
What did he say?
He said, "Are you basically? I think
Are you a plug or a socket?
I think Paul something along those lines."
He did not say anything.
He did. He said, "Are you a Saul or a Paul?" Don't you remember
Saul.
that?
Oh yeah, he said, "Are you Paul?
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
Saul or Paul?
Yeah.
Are you I said, what do you mean by that? He said, I said, what do you mean road to Damascus? He went, yeah, or a brutalizer. And I said, oh, I'm definitely the road to Damascus version. I said, I'm post-epiphanal Paul. And he looked a little bit disappointed. I think he wanted to be brutalised.
Do you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
No.
Don't you, God? Do you want to be loved?
Yes. No.
Still? Even after everything you've been through? You still want
It's
to be
quite
loved?
uncomfortable being loved.
It is.
It's quite uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
I'm just like a rock out in the sea on my own. An island.
Have you got your love...
No man is an island. No, I am an island.
Have you got your love bottle out to see how much is left in it lately?
Yeah.
Is there anything in there?
Yeah,
Have you drained it?
what I'm doing is I'm pouring something from my friendship bottle into it. And I'm not sure what I'm doing.
Does that even work?
It dilutes it.
It does, doesn't it? That's not fooling anyone. This is of love.
Yeah.
This is repurposed friendship.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's enough. There's always enough to go around.
What?
There's always enough love to go around, Guy.
You look at this world and you can say that. You know that party last night? They were short in there.
Well, it's just that people can't access it. It's there.
All people who are living in France. That's